Well, the phone shut off, the recording. So if I had a camera, I could stop it and go back. Oh, wait a minute. I could pause this and I can go back and listen to the end part of the story, and then I'll know where I was. Hold on a sec. That's what I'll do. Okay, so the guy didn't say whatever I forgot what it was. Something I said. I said what I said because as I was filming the video, I saw something crawling on my phone. It was huge. It was a huge ant. So I said what I said, whatever I said at the end of it. But what the story was, we were talking about the the investor said, "I thought you had a son," and then the mom covered and said, "Oh, she's such a tomboy." And then after, when the rich guy was alone with his right-hand guy, he said, "What's this about his son?" He says, "Oops." So anyhow, I think this will be part two for another day because it's going to be too long, and I don't think people like to watch long videos. So anyhow, they showed the guy around town and everything, and they took the guy ice skating, and the rich guy couldn't ice skate. So the little girl went over to him and said, "Here, let me teach you." He says, "Oh, I couldn't learn when I was a kid. I can't learn now." She says, "Sure you can. Come on." And so she taught him how to skate. And that businessman kept looking over at certain moments. And again, to me, it felt like he wasn't believing they were really a family. So when he got to skating, oh yeah, he was also like a playboy, like most rich single men. Well, I'm sure married women are like that too. Not all, but some. You know what I mean. So anyhow, this girl comes up and says, "You want to skate?" And he almost said yes, and then he remembered, oh, wait a minute, he's married. He says no. So the guy was looking at him. So again, I got the impression the guy was feeling they were pulling one over on him. So anyhow, they entertained him and all, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, then he left. And so he left, and I think he was going to come back in a week or so. Yeah, in a week or so, and sign the contract. So anyhow, so the woman was all packed, ready to go. Asked the guy had a butler, a maid, all kinds of people. Asked the butler to bring the stuff out to her car, and she had this really old Volkswagen. Oh, my dream car. Besides a red Corvette, a white Volkswagen, but hers was like baby powder blue, baby blue. I don't know, something all rusty and gross. So he was just about to bring the suitcases out, and there's a doorbell, and he goes and answers it, and guess what? It was the investor. And they're like, "Oh, you're back." He says, "Yeah, I decided to extend my stay for 2 weeks." And then he says, "Mrs. whatever her name is, are those your suitcases?" So you thought for sure he knew they were lying. And she says, "Oh no, that's a donation for I forgot whatever organization." She says, whatever the butler's name, "Could you take care of that?" So then um, she says, either she or the rich guy said, I think the rich guy said, "Let's go into the kitchen and talk to the cook," or she said. So they go in the kitchen. She's like, yeah, she said. She says, "Hey, this is only 3 days. Now it's 2 weeks." He says, "You got to help me. You can't leave me like this, blah, blah, blah." So they made a deal. So, back and forth bickering. So she said 10,000, which would really help with her house. So anyhow, then they went on, kept entertaining him and all. And every time it just seemed like he didn't believe them. And the little girl really missed her dad. And I thought for sure she's going to slip up, but she didn't. I know it was around Christmas time. I don't know if I said, oh yeah, I did because of the tree. So anyhow, wherever they took him, the guy just seemed suspicious. And then the little girl said a remark. She heard a noise, and oh yeah, it was on a skating ring, ice skating. And she saw that guy kind of looking at her funny, and she thought, he's the angel. And the angel's supposed to be the one that fixes things and makes your wishes come true. So she thought her real daddy would show up. And that's what she kept thinking. You can probably even guess the ending from that statement. I didn't mean it that way. I'm just telling the story, but maybe you can't. So anyhow, it went on, and they had dinner together, and she had her own room, but outside of their upstairs was a library, and the rich guy said to the businessman, "Help yourself to the library." Well, he sat right outside their room, which made you think again he doesn't believe him, because she was the first night going to get to her room and he was there. So she says, "Well, part of the deal was not that I'm going to be sleeping in your room." So he says, "Well, you can have the bed and I'll sleep on the couch." She says, "No, what if my daughter walks in?" He says, "Well, where would you want me to sleep?" She says, "In the closet." Well, they called it something fancy. He says, "Could I have my pillow?" So she gives him, you know how rich people have, you have like your bed pillows and then you have other pillows. I don't know what they're called. Not that I was rich, but back in my first marriage, we had them. They're like in a special pillowcase. I don't know what they're called. But anyhow, she handed him that, and he says, "No." And so he went and got his pillow. So he's laying on the floor, this rich guy, in his, well, the closet's as big as a living room. But anyhow, so they continued on with their charade, and they met other places. It's a lot of stuff involved, so I won't go through all that. But anyhow, the father shows up at some point. Oh yeah, he showed up to, I guess he knew about the babysitter. He went there, and the babysitter knew how much the girl wanted to see her dad, and she says, "Where are they?" She's not in the house or wherever they lived, apartment, I don't know. And she said, "Well, she gave me an address just for emergency," and stupidly, she gave it to him. And I thought, oh no, he's going to ruin the whole plan and she won't get her money for her house. So he drove up to this place, and I'm sure it was gated. He couldn't get in, or it happened to be open. And the maid was there, and she said, "Who are you? You're not from the police, are you?" And he says, "Yes, I am. I'm undercover." So she flapped her lips and told everything. I knew they'd get caught with their lies, and then she got it out of him that they're pretending to be married and da-da-da, whatever. So then the next day, so he did his research and found out who he was. Oh, no, she told the name, so he knew. So it's like a company like, I don't know, it's a big company. Like in our town, Kodak used to be big, so say it was Mr. Kodak or George Eastman. So he went to his place of work. No, I think he followed him around. I don't know, wherever he was, he met him. I think it was a coffee shop. Anyhow, he says, "I know what's going on," and blah, blah, blah. And he's going to tell, he says, "How much do you want?" The rich man. He says, "To the, uh, not the south side of 10,000, but the north side of 10,000. He's okay, 20,000. Will that keep you quiet? He says, "Yeah." He says, "But you can't have it till after Christmas." And he's like, "I want it now." He says, "That or nothing." And then the guy was like insinuating that he'd tell, and the rich man didn't care, so he walked away. He says, "Okay, fine." So then he didn't tell the woman about her ex-husband being there, and they continued on with their little charades and all. And like I said, there's a lot to tell. I won't tell the whole thing because it will just take too long. So anyhow, it was, oh yeah, something, what was it? Oh yeah, the girl dropped something, and I don't know what she dropped. I don't know, a glass or something. And, it must have been fine bone china or something. I don't know. So he kind of raised his voice to her, and then she told her to go upstairs to get something. And she said, "You're just playing the part. That doesn't give you permission to yell at my child." He says, "Well, you don't understand. This costs a lot of money." "Well, she's only a child. She didn't do it on purpose." So then he apologized. She says, "No, you have to apologize to my daughter." So he apologized to the daughter and all. And I don't remember it was the same scene when he went up to the daughter's room, if that's when she apologized or what. Or no, after there was a scene where she went to the room, and I think she was crying or sad or something. He says, "What's the matter?" He says, he said, "Do you miss your dad?" She says, "Yeah." And she says, "I don't know what I did so bad that my dad left. I don't understand why he doesn't love me. What did I do so wrong?" And he says, oh, it was a great line. I guess this is a famous movie or something. I don't know, because by the comments they were saying, oh, the line when they said, and I'll probably screw it up just like jokes, but something to the effect of, He said, there are some people, so this is a rich guy telling the woman's daughter, there are some people that know how to love so much. See, I'm going to screw it up like the punchline. And then they know how to love so much. I think then he said, and there's people that don't know how to love. Yeah, I think something like that. Well, the mother was outside the door and saw it. And then he told a story. He says, I've never told this story to anyone else. He said, well, she asked him about his dad, and he said they weren't very close. And he was saying the only time they were close once, his dad got him a baseball, I think it's called a glove, and he was into sports, and the guy wasn't into sports, but he wanted to please his dad, and he was throwing him some balls, and he could never catch it. She says, why? Because you didn't like it? He says, no, because the mitt was too big. So he threw it 2 times. The third time he caught it, but it fell out of his hand because the mitt was too big. I know nothing about baseball, so I assume that's what happens if the mitt's too big. I don't know how you know what size mitt you wear, because I don't know if I told this story long ago. I'll probably tell it about my first husband and girls softball, women's softball, but anyhow, the mitt has to fit. So he said, I've never told that to anyone. And so he said he felt like he disappointed his father, but he didn't. And she said, you didn't. The mitt was too big. And maybe that's the part when he said about the loving part. I don't know, but it was a really good moment. And of course, I screwed it up like the punchline of a joke. So the woman saw what was going on, and then she talked to him. She says, we're just playing a part, so don't get too involved with my daughter, because once this is over, we're gone. And I think at that point, he had a turning point about how he felt about family, like he was a rich playboy. So anyhow, she went out on the porch, and it was cold, and he came out and put a blanket around her, and he was there freezing, and they started talking, and the gist of the story was, I'm not against family and marriage. He says, I don't feel I could be a good dad or a good father because of the way my father was. And she says, well, I've seen how you've been with my daughter, and I think you'd make a good father. So, at some point before that, no, never mind. See, I'm screwing up like punchline. So anyhow, he was in his office. I'm going all around, but I'm getting toward the end of the story. He was in his office, and someone said something about, oh yeah, his secretary came in and says, do you mind if I leave early? I got to finish my Christmas shopping. He says, sure, go ahead, have a nice Christmas. And then he says, oh my gosh, Christmas presents. So he forgot. So before that, a really interesting part was the rich man, his right-hand man, and the investor were talking, and she was in the room. She came in, and they were talking about something. She says, wait a minute, I thought he's investing, not, I forgot the other word she used. She says, oh, he was from Mexico. She says, are you taking the company in Mexico? He says, well, of course I am. It's a, whatever word he used. She says, I thought it was a, whatever the word is. So, in other words, it was a takeover, I guess, not a, whatever the other word is. Gosh, I'm not very observant, if you haven't noticed. But anyhow, she says, so people are going to lose their jobs? He says, yeah, most of them are. And then she says to her fake husband, I need to talk with you. And then I think they talked, but I don't know. But anyhow, so the next day, they were in a restaurant with the right-hand man, the rich guy, the investor, and her. No, she wasn't there. And he got a call at the restaurant, and I think it was from her, where it was a message to go back to the factory. He went, and there was all his staff was there, the butler, the maid, the cook, everyone, and all the people were in a party. And she says, look, this woman here is saving money for 6 months, and she's going to have enough money to go to nursing school. See that other woman there? She's pregnant. She should be home getting ready to give birth, but she has to work. They have to work 2 jobs, and explaining about all that and all. And then he says, oh, I'll help them all find something, blah, blah, blah. And she says, no, you won't. You're going to get rid of their jobs, their lives. Everything's going to be turned upside down. And then the pregnant woman started singing, for he's a jolly good fellow, and they all sang. And so they went back, and they were, still talking business. And then he was in front of the tree. Okay, so now I'm skipping back to the part about the Christmas presents. So he bought presents for them, put it under the tree. Oh, that's right. He went to her place at some point. I guess she forgot something. And she loved to paint. She had beautiful drawings. And he said, "Did you ever think about going into business with that?" She says, "Well, that would be something, like a pipe dream." So anyhow, so he was putting together this dinosaur thing. She said, "Here, let me help." And so he says, "How do you know how to do this?" She says, "I've done a lot." In other words, she had a husband who did nothing. Um, so then the next day, it was Christmas. So there were a lot of gifts, and the little girl was very disappointed. She had a lot of gifts, and the investor guy said, What could you be so upset about? A little girl with so many gifts." And I guess because she wanted her dad, her real dad. And so the investor guy says to the woman, "Oh, look up." So there's mistletoe above them. And he said, "That means you have to kiss in your country." So they kissed. Oh, yeah, right before that, go back to the scene with the doing the dinosaur. They went to kiss, and the little girl called, so they didn't kiss. So she ran up to see what was wrong with the girl. She was crying. And so I think the girl thought this guy was the angel, and he was going to make his father appear on Christmas morning. That's why she was disappointed. So anyhow, they opened the gifts, and the guy bought her, the mom, a painting kit. She said, "Oh, I can't accept this." And she must have said quietly, not in front of the guy. And he says, "Yes, you can." And then, let me think a minute because I'm drawing a blank. So they did the presents. They didn't really show much of the presents. And then there was someone at the door, and it was a real dad. And the little girl goes running and says, "Daddy." And then the investor guy says, "Who's this?" And the rich guy says, "That's her real father." He says, "We have some explaining to do." And I don't know if they showed any more of that part. I'm into the romance part of the movies, as you can tell, so I don't really pay attention to the other parts. So they were back in the room with the Christmas tree. There was all they showed of the real dad. And, well, there were more parts, but I don't want to talk about him. So the guy signed his right-hand man came over, and he says, "I have the thing right here. You could sign it right now." So the guy signed it. And again, he just had this weird look on his face, like he still didn't believe them. And the girl kept looking at him like he was that angel that the babysitter told her about that would make, your wishes come true. So the investor guy signed it, and his right-hand man tried to have him sign. And he says, "No, I don't do business on holidays." So his right-hand man tried to talk him into it. And at some point, I don't know if it was that day or the next day, the businessman said, "So you've had second thoughts?" And he says, "Yes, I have." And so he says, "Well, I guess I have no reason to be here anymore." And he left. And so his second-hand man was, wait a minute, you haven't met my family." And the guy left. And so the rich guy took and ripped up the contract. And the guy leaves because he would have made a lot of money too. And well, I guess I won't tell you the ending because I don't remember the ending. So if you want to know what the movie's called, I could tell you. So comment below if you want to know. But I didn't do it justice telling you the story. But it was a really, like a warm, fuzzy movie, at least to me. It was really nice because I'm pretty sure the ending was happy, because usually Hallmark movies have happy endings. But it was a very interesting story because, well, unlike me, because of my health, I couldn't go get a job, and I can't leave Polly because of all his health problems. I couldn't make enough money, and I can't work. She was a young woman, I'm not. And, well, that's not even an excuse. If I didn't have this mystery problem, I would be able to work. But of course, like I say, with Polly's problems, especially with his latest problems, I really, I could say so much about the nurses in the hospital, but I'll plead the fifth there. There wouldn't be a nurse good enough that would take care of all the needs he needs. But anyhow, it was a really good movie. So if you want me to tell you about some of the movies, not tell, but tell like this is a good movie if you want to check it out. And do you watch any movies, Hallmark movies on YouTube or Lifetime, or I can't think of the other one. Those ones are kind of like, people get stabbed and stuff. And Polly's like, Mommy, because I always go and cover my eyes because I don't like them. I like them, but I don't, if you know what I mean. But anyhow, this was a really nice, fuzzy, nice feeling movie. So let me know if you want to know the name of the movie since I don't remember the ending. But anyhow, it was really nice. And if you watch any movies that are free that you find interesting, I like romantic movies, comedy, stuff like that, let me know. So for now, like I said, this will be part 2 because otherwise it would be too long. So don't forget to subscribe, like, hit the notification bell. Share our channel. Be kind to people you don't know what they're going through. Make someone smile. No, that's not how I say it. Be the reason someone smiles. I'm thinking about that ant where it is. Be the reason someone smiles today. It will make you both feel good. And let me know if you like this sharing the story of the movie, even though I screwed it up. Because I'm still thinking of where that big, huge ant is. But for now, thanks and let me know. Especially if you know any good movies that are for free on any of the YouTube. Thanks for now. Bye.